It is time to look at the UFC's biggest crash outs. This is a sport where two men, they train for months, they're cutting weight, their tensions are high. There's destined to be a lot of crash outs here and there. So we're going to look at the biggest crash out of each division. At Flyweight, the biggest crash out is Muhammad Mokaev. Now, I know you're probably thinking, Muhammad Mokaev is not in the UFC anymore. He's going to be back. Don't worry. But this dude is known to go up to his opponents and steal him, like give him a good slap, or he has his in-cage antics, whether it's trying to fight before the fight starts or pulling down Manel Cop's pants. This dude's like one of the biggest crash outs in the UFC. That's why Dana had to cut him. Dana cut him because he was such a crash out. But the fact of the matter is, he's one of the highest skilled flyweights on the planet, and UFC needs to sign him back. The flyweight division is pretty shallow, and this is a fresh matchup for Pantoja that we have not seen yet, as Pantoja's beat almost everyone in the top 10. So UFC's got to bring this guy back if they want to be a legit organization. But when they do bring him back, they're going to have to be prepared for his crash outs. At Bantamweight, the biggest crash out is Merab Dvalishvili. Where should I start? First of all, there's numerous videos and pictures of him running up to fans in the stand. Whether it's him crawling up the stands or just running up to the fan, he usually gets an altercation. I mean, you saw the Umar Nurmagomedov press conference. This dude was crashing out. He was saying how Umar didn't deserve it. He was screaming at Umar. Umar was sitting there just chilling. And Merab was over there crashing out on him. Then, of course, we all know about the infamous video of Merab jumping headfirst into an icy lake and slamming his head on the ground because the water was only like a few inches deep. This dude's just been a crash out for life. He doesn't really think, he just does stuff, or getting a huge cut on his leg before his fight with Umar and having staph but still fighting with that. This dude just doesn't care. He's an absolute machine, as the nickname would imply. But yeah, Merab, definitely one of the biggest crash outs in the UFC. Featherweight, Bryce Mitchell. Where should I start with Bryce Mitchell? I could start with him drilling into his nutsack and then drilling back out of it, or his Arc Insanity podcast, world-renowned podcast that UFC loves, or the fact that he thinks the earth is flat. Yeah, he's not the smartest bulb in the box. And the UFC is trying to punish him for his antics with that Gene Silva fight. They're thinking the same thing that happened to him against Josh Emmett will happen with Silva, but the thing is, Gene Silva's not as good of a wrestler as Josh Emmett was, so Bryce Mitchell has a little bit more of a chance, but it's not looking pretty. So yeah, his social media antics are crazy. He doesn't have any filter, very outspoken. His fight style is not necessarily the most crazy. I don't even know how to describe his fight style, just like a slow twitch jiu-jitsu guy with cardio kickboxing striking. This guy knocked down Edson Barboza somehow. I have no clue how that makes sense or how it's even possible, but yeah, Bryce Mitchell is a huge crash out. At lightweight, we got Money Moicano. He's calling out Macron while he's in France, or he's calling out communism after he wins a fight, screaming about something on the post-fight interview. Very strongly opinionated. He fought Islam on a day's notice, which takes a different kind of man to do. And I'm sure if he won that fight, we would have heard something crazy on the microphone after. But luckily, we got spared. So, Renato Moicano, crash out. Welterweight, gotta go with Colby Covington. He's not as much of a crash out as he once was, but let's look at his roots. When he turned heel, called everyone in Brazil a filthy animal. He got multiple death threats, got chased out of the arena, had to be escorted back home ASAP so he didn't get severely hurt or killed in Brazil. He doesn't hold back on the mic, whether it's talking about Leon's dad, Usman's father that was in jail, or Jorge's Obama phone, which is probably the worst thing he's done. He went all press conference talking about how Jorge's a deadbeat dad, but the second he brought up the Obama phone, Jorge got up and tried to fight Covington, only after the Obama phone comment, not the fact that he's a deadbeat. So yeah, Colby Covington, with a character, he's the ultimate crash out. He just likes to ruffle feathers, and it works. Most people don't like him. Personally, I do. He's like a welterweight Merab. I like his style. I appreciate the fact that he entertains the fans, but I could see how it's a little annoying. It seems like he's all talk. He's got this big macho personality. He says his only form of cardio is at Miami Mamacitas. So, yeah, this dude's definitely not your average Stephen Thompson of the UFC. Head down, nose to the grindstone. He's always respectful to his opponent. That is not how Covington is. At middleweight, we had a lot of options, whether it be Chimaev, Duplessis, but I had to go with Strickland. You know, he has had so many close calls where he almost actually killed a person, whether it be when he was at a party and he pointed a shotgun at some guy's head, and the only thing that stopped him was a girl like out in the way, or when he went out to a home intruder that was outside his house with his pistol and held him down till the police got there. You know, on the mic, he's always screaming about something. Like, UFC has to have meetings over what this guy says in media day, whether it be something about women. I don't even know what this guy talks about. You know, he just has no filter as well. Just like Colby and Merab, Bryce Mitchell, he says anything that comes to his mind. He's not very PR trained. You know, he's had a rough past, especially childhood. But yeah, he just likes to shoot guns, drive his motorbike, and shoot off his mouth. So Sean Strickland, definitely the biggest crash out at middleweight. You know, I could have said Duplessis through his trash talk, but outside the cage, he don't move like Strickland does. Same with Chimaev. Chimaev can be a crash out backstage, but I think you got to give it to Strickland when he's going up to dudes with guns. Or you could even give it to a Shar Magomedov, who viciously beats up people in the mall or punches his opponents after grappling matches. But, you know, Sean Strickland, he's the ranked fighter, so I just had to go with him. Light heavyweight, biggest crash out, it has to be Buck, the 400-pound silverback. This dude's an absolute marauder. He used to toss his opponent out the cage. Been known to fight the referees and his opponent at the same time. He's an absolute nightmare. The UFC had to get rid of him. They don't even have his stats anymore because how seriously they took him. Sean Boatwright, he's one bad man. Alright, no, I'm playing. Light heavyweight's got to be Jiri. You know, he's a different kind of crash out. He's more so of like a Tony Ferguson crash out. Like, he can get knocked out and then he'll turn around and try to fight 2 days later, or he'll go back into training right away. Whether it's something like that, or, you know, he sits in a dark room for 3 days, no food, no water, no nothing, just sitting in a dark room. Or like his forest, all his like rituals, samurai rituals. This dude he's crazy. He's just so unorthodox. I feel like Alex gave him even more CTE. Those knockouts were pretty vicious. But even the way this dude fights, bro, he's jumping all over, throwing flying knees, spinning elbows, just fighting like an absolute crash out with nothing to lose. He's only got 5 losses, which is actually crazy for how many fights he has. 2 of which are to Pereira. But yeah, Yuri's fighting style alone makes him an absolute crash out in the light heavyweight division. And to be honest, there's not much competition. Most of these guys in this division are NPCs. So I had to go with Jiri Prochazka. And that heavyweight, biggest crash out's Jon Jones. You know, you don't want to get this guy in Vegas after a few drinks because there's a good chance the city might burn down. You know, even the way he fights like a crash out. He kicks at knees, like oblique kicks, to damage his opponent's knees forever. The way he dropped, was it Vitor Belfort or Lyoto Machida with that guillotine? I think it was Lyoto Machida. But the way he slumped him, you know, the spinning back kick he hit Stipe with, him holding up the division, doing, you know, pretty much saying that it's his way or the highway. He pretty much has more power than the UFC over the heavyweight division. He loves his joy rides. He literally does crash out in vehicles. He has crashed, pop for PEDs. Dude, I can't even joke about half this stuff because, like, it's actually serious. But I mean, realistically, he's probably the biggest crash out in the UFC. Like, he's had some rampages where he just goes absolutely scorched earth and rains hell on the town. So I'd say the biggest crash out at heavyweight is Jon Jones. Those are my picks for the biggest crash outs in the UFC. If you would agree or disagree, let me know in the comments. And I just want to thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.